The requisition came in on a legacy band. I almost didn't see it. Our comm suite still monitors the old Coalition civilian relay frequencies because my previous crew chief never got around to stripping them out, and I never got around to it after her, and that is the only reason any of this happened. A small thing. A maintenance detail left undone for 2 years that turned out to matter more than anything I did on purpose that entire run. The file was 47 hours old when it hit our queue, logged as a Tier 4 maintenance requisition, the lowest category, the kind that gets auto-routed to a triage pool and sits there until someone with bandwidth picks it up. Thermal coupling failure on a residential platform designated Vithron Compact Station Orvithsen, orbital shelf above the moon Kas Verath. Population, 61. The file had already been declined twice by the Coalition Infrastructure Clearinghouse. First on the grounds that Orvithsen had been reclassified as non-viable habitation 18 months prior. Second on the grounds that a non-viable habitation did not qualify for maintenance triage. There was a third response in the chain, from a compact administrative relay, which simply said the matter had been forwarded to the relevant department, and no further correspondence should be expected. The relevant department had not replied. The relevant department had, as best I can tell, been dissolved 4 months after it was named. I read all of that in about 90 seconds. Then I looked at the coupling specs. A Tier 4 thermal coupling failure on a residential platform of that class meant the lower residential deck would vent to ambient within 12 to 18 days if it went unaddressed. 61 people. The timestamp on the original filing was 47 hours ago. That left at the outside 16 days. I called my crew, Dissa and Pell, over the ship's interior comm. "We're diverting," I said, 2 days out of route, maybe 3. Dissa asked why. "Because someone filed a repair ticket, and the people who were supposed to answer it decided the people filing it didn't exist." There was a pause, then Pell said, "Do they pay?" "Probably not." Another pause, then, "All right." That was the whole conversation. We are not a complicated crew. Orvithsen was not what I would call a thriving installation. It had been built for a population of several hundred during a mining expansion that ended badly, and the 61 Vithron who remained were living in roughly a third of its functional space, the rest having been sealed off as systems failed, and no one came to repair them. The Vithron are a compact, copper-plated people, carapaced from crown to hip, with articulated faceplates that shift when they speak, the way shutters move in wind. They are slow to trust. I do not hold that against them. Given their recent history of being told they did not exist, caution seemed rational. Their elder met us at the docking collar. She was perhaps the oldest living thing I have encountered in 17 years of working civilian infrastructure runs. Her carapace gone pale at the joints, her faceplate moving with a slight, persistent tremor she did not try to conceal. Her name was Orven. She had filed the requisition herself. She had not, she told us through the translator we carry for legacy coalition languages, expected anyone to come. "We stopped expecting," she said, not bitterly. She said it the way you state a physical law. I told her we were here for the thermal coupling. She looked at me for a long moment, her faceplate shifting. Then she said in coalition standard slowly, "Only the coupling." "We'll see what else needs doing," I said. The coupling took half a day. It was a straightforward failure, a stress fracture in the secondary housing, the kind of thing that gets caught in routine inspection, except Orvithsen had not had a routine inspection in 4 years. Dissa fixed it in 5 hours. Pell spent the same time running a full systems diagnostic on the residential deck, which the Vithron had not been able to run since their last repair crew, a coalition contractor, had left without completing the job 3 years prior. The diagnostic produced a list. It was not a short list. Atmospheric filtration, degraded to 62% efficiency. Water reclamation, 2 of 4 primary membranes failed, running on backup. Power distribution, 3 junction nodes in the lower residential block running at irregular voltage, which explained the flickering the Vithron had learned to sleep through. Emergency beacon, offline, battery depleted, had been offline for 14 months. Hull integrity sensor array, 30% of nodes dark, which meant they had been flying blind on microfracture detection for over a year. I looked at the list, then I looked at Dissay and Pell. "We're going to need the full kit," I said. Dissay pulled up our cargo manifest. We were carrying a standard civilian infrastructure load for the contract we had diverted from filtration media, junction hardware, sealant compound, beacon cells. Not everything on the list, enough for most of it. "We'll be short on the hull sensors," Pell said. "I know. We'll patch what we can and file a priority note with the nearest active relay for the rest." I paused. "File it through Earth civilian infrastructure, not the Coalition clearinghouse." Pell understood. The Coalition clearinghouse would route it back to the relevant department. Earth's relay would route it to someone who answered their queue. We stayed 11 days. The Vithron watched us work, at first from a distance, then closer, then alongside. Their younger ones, there were 9 children on the station, which I had not registered properly until I saw them gathered in the corridor outside the filtration bay on the 3rd day, watching Dissay replace the secondary membrane with the focused attention of people seeing something fixed for the first time in their lives. That was when it stopped being a job for me and became something else. I do not have a word for what it became. It was not heroic. We were replacing membranes and soldering junction nodes. But the children watched as though we were doing something more, and after a while I could not look at them without feeling the weight of what it meant that nobody had come for 4 years. On the 7th day, Orven brought food. She did not announce it. She simply appeared at the door of the filtration bay with a container of something hot and set it down without comment. Dissay thanked her. Orven's faceplate shifted in what I had come to recognize as acknowledgement, and she left. The food was excellent. I did not ask what it was. On the 11th day, we finished. Filtration at 94%. Reclamation running on 3 primary membranes, 4th on order through the Earth relay. Power distribution stable across all residential nodes. Emergency beacon active and registered on 3 relay networks. Hull sensor array at 81%. Remainder noted in a pending infrastructure ticket filed under priority status. I attached Orvithsen's non-viable reclassification document to the ticket, with a note that the classification appeared to be in error, given that 61 people were actively living there, and would appreciate not flying blind on hull integrity. I invoiced the job to the Vithron Compact infrastructure account on file. The account had been suspended. I noted the suspension in our run log and marked the invoice as unrecoverable. I wrote off the part's cost against our operating margin. It was not a large number. We would manage. Orven met us at the docking collar again when we left. She stood very straight. Her faceplate was still. She held out both hands, palms up, which Pell later told me was a Vithron formal gesture of account rendering, the physical act of presenting what you have openly to the person you owe it to. "We have nothing to give you," she said. "The account is suspended, you know this." "Yes," I said. "Then I am required to ask why you came." I thought about that for a moment, not because it was a hard question, because I wanted to answer it honestly in a way she could take with her and keep. "You filed the ticket," I said. "It was in our queue, we had the parts." She looked at me. Her faceplate shifted twice, slowly, in a pattern I had not seen from her before. "That is all," she said. "It was not a question." "That's all," I said. We undocked 40 minutes later. I logged the diversion in the run record, route deviation, 11 days, maintenance support, Orvithsen, and noted no anomalies. We were 12 days behind on our contracted delivery. The client had been notified of the delay. They were unhappy. We absorbed the penalty clause. It was not a large number. 3 weeks later, at our next port of call, a forwarded message was waiting in my comms queue. It had been routed through Earth civilian relay. origin listed as Vthrun Compact Station Orvith Sen, sent to an address that no longer mapped to any active ship registration. Someone at the relay had tracked us down anyway and sent it along. It was a formal commendation. 6 paragraphs in Vthrun administrative script, translated into Coalition standard by the station's own translation system. Signed by Orven, sealed with the Orvith Sen station mark, a small copper hexagon pressed into the document header. The last paragraph said, "We have entered your name in the station record as a debt of continuance. In our custom, this means your name will be read aloud at every census staking until the station no longer stands, alongside the names of those who built it. You will be counted among us. We cannot pay you. We can only count you." I read it once, then I saved it to the archive and filed it under the run record for Orvith Sen. Then I poured a cup of coffee, went back to the cockpit, and started calculating our next route. The ticket queue was not going to clear itself.